everything's bigger in Texas. Well, that's certainly true when it comes to cows. With a bovine population of 11.7 million, almost 2 times greater than the runner-up state of Nebraska, Texas is home to almost 13% of America's cows. In a state that prides itself on going big in everything from steaks to rodeos, it's perhaps the most unlikely setting for this story. But that's precisely what makes it so powerful. How very unlikely it is. Because among the almost 12 million heads of cattle across almost 250,000 farms and ranches is one single little cow who somehow managed to change Texas forever. Hi, it's Emily from Bite Size Vegan, and welcome to another Vegan Nugget. This is the story of Rowdy Girl, the cow who launched a revolution. And this is Rowdy Girl Sanctuary. Not long ago, this land was a functioning cattle ranch owned by Tommy Solman and his wife Renee. Marrying into a family of multi-generational cattle ranchers, Renee had a difficult time watching the calves go off to slaughter. So Tommy made a decision, the repercussions of which he could never have imagined, for Renee to buy her own cow and become a part of ranch culture. And so it was that Rowdy Girl came into their lives.
She was the one that I bought for $300 6 years ago, and my husband wanted me to have a buy-in as a cattle rancher's wife, and so she was my first and only time I ever bought any of these animals except when I bought them to save their lives. Mm. And so Rowdy Girl's babies have never gone to slaughter. She's the gateway. And I really do believe she knows it. I think she knows it.
Rowdy Girl truly was the gateway. Renee's connection to the animals on her plate and those in her backyard began to deepen. You can hear about her personal conversion in depth in the video linked here and in the description below. But today, Renee's going to help tell the stories of those saved by Rowdy Girl's influence, the most unlikely Texas residents of all. There's of course the original herd, all of whom Renee bought from her reluctant husband.
This is the wild herd.
The sanctuary soon began to take on new residents, including survivors of pro-farming youth programs like the 4-H Club and Future Farmers of America, organizations firmly rooted in Texas culture.
You know, Rowdy Girl Sanctuary has already started to get a reputation around, 4-H and FFA. But we really don't like the fact that they teach their kids to kill animals that they grow to love.
Elena Hidalgo was one of those kids, and her animal was Gizmo the pig. Speaking of Elena, Renee shares.
She's 15 years old. She comes every week with her mom or her dad and her sister, takes care of Gizmo, learns about taking care of things around the sanctuary. Her and her mother and her sister are now vegan as a result.
Gizmo's roommate, Rue, was also an FFA surrender after not making the cut at the county fair. The high school student who surrendered her has never come back to visit. Renee and dedicated sanctuary volunteer Charles Armstrong, who was instrumental in saving fellow FFA surrender Penny Lane, shed some light on the pressures upon students in the program and why they don't always come back to visit.
And the kiddo that brought her here, I think he had high hopes for intentions of coming back to visit, but never has. Yeah. And what I heard Charles say was they were afraid that he was going to go vegan. So they didn't want to bring him here no more.
Boss at work, his son got Penny, and the mother and the son fell in love with him. Couldn't see him see her go to slaughter, but the dad really didn't care one way or the other. He just wanted his son to get a good grade in the FFA, because if they don't show, they don't get a grade, and then that means they have to retake another class.
Perhaps the most visually striking resident of Rowdy Girl Sanctuary is Cinnamon.
She's a full-blood Brahmin. Cinnamon was actually scheduled to be slaughtered because she couldn't have babies. She too was raised 4-H, and Normally, they don't slaughter these animals. They just show them and breed them, and then that's what they do. But when they are not productive, like Cinnamon wasn't, Cinnamon was had some sort of issues with her ovaries. 5 years eating their food and not productive. So she was worthless to them.
Every one of these animals has a story, a history. From the survivors of our food industry that we've met to pets who outgrew their family's circumstances, like ducks Quackers, Remy, and Barry, and pot-bellied pig Lily, to these hens who were used as bait in the brutal blood sport of cockfighting. Each individual is a miracle and a living reminder of the trillions of others who were not so fortunate. And who would ever suspect that the place they'd ultimately find safety would be a cattle ranch in Texas? Certainly not Tommy.
You know, I've still got a lot of friends that are ranchers and hunters, and they don't understand what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And in fact, I've lost a lot of friends.
Renee and Tommy have big plans for the sanctuary and are working on a number of improvements.
And we're not done. We're going to paint flowers. We're going to paint their names on here. There's going to be a dome-like structure that we're going to be putting over here so that they can actually come out here and have access to the ground.
Maintaining a sanctuary is no easy task. Unlike a cattle ranch where profit is king and animals are inventory, a farm sanctuary means putting the animals first and hoping the finances will follow. Which is what brought me here in the first place, for their second annual Vegan Awareness Festival and fundraiser, complete with vegan cupcakes, gumbo, booths, and speakers. Renee is going to be traveling and speaking about the Rowdy Girls story, and you can find places and dates in the description as well as how to donate to their cause. Farm sanctuaries are one of the most direct ways to help animals with financial donations. When animals are treated as individuals and not inventory, money is always an issue. But the rewards are unbelievable.
The big thing for me is, okay, I'm real big into environmental side, real big into the health side. The ethics side is the part that, you know, I wasn't born and bred with. And but I always hated dropping my calves off at the sale barn. And I don't have to do that anymore.
That's good. So that's the story of the cow who changed Texas forever. And I have a feeling that she's just getting started.
Go look at them, tugging on my heartstrings. And I was like, okay, I'll go look. And I went and looked and fell in love with them, and we brought them home. One of them was named Bobo, and one of them was Rowdy Girl. That's who I named Rowdy Girl. Bobo died very young. She had a failure to thrive disease. She just never could come out of whatever it was. She was just very, very weak as a baby. But Rowdy Girl thrived. She was a bouncing little cute thing, and I would feed her twice a day, and I wasn't vegan. I was still eating steaks and, you know, hamburgers. You know, the disconnect, you know, is so powerful because we are programmed, you know, from birth, even beyond birth. We are programmed as a culture, as a world to eat animals and to use them. It's part of our DNA. We're really programmed that way. And so I never thought anything about it, you know. Feed the animal, love Rowdy Girl, and eat a steak while I'm feeding her. Today, I think, my God, the disconnect is unbelievable. But anyway, so I fell in love with little Rowdy Girl, and she was my vegan. You know, a lot of people have that particular person that they talk to or that led them to becoming vegan. Rowdy Girl was mine. She took me down like a looking glass, like Alice in Wonderland. I would go down a rabbit hole when I was feeding her, and I would stare into the world of the cows. The world of the cows was so different than what it was before I started feeding Rowdy Girl. Before I started feeding Rowdy Girl, there was just cows out there. Just a bunch of cows out in the pasture, so what? When I started feeding Rowdy Girl, I started seeing them. I started seeing who they were, not what they were. I actually started seeing personalities emerge. And But it only happened when I was feeding Rowdy Girl. Like when I stopped feeding Rowdy Girl, it's like it went away. Something was happening when I was feeding Rowdy Girl. I was able to watch the mothers and their babies, the babysitters, you know, the community of the cows. They have a community, you know. You couldn't have told me that before. Yeah, right. Cows have a community? Really? They have a babysitter. What are you smoking? But no, I promise you, they have babysitters. I watched it. I watched it happen. I watched Tippy, you know, go up to the mama, and when the mama was feeding the baby, and I'd watch the mama go off so she could get grass and she could feed, and Tippy would take the baby and take it over to a tree and stay with it until the mama came back. I watched him do that time and time again, Tippy. And so I was like, oh my God, this is unbelievable. So this is the world I started living in. You know, I would feed Rowdy Girl, and I would be very engrossed in the world of cows and the community. I felt like I was a cow, basically, you know, like, oh, you know. And then when I'd come out of it, and I was a rancher's wife. Nope. Can't, you know, don't feel any of that. Can't feel that. You can't feel feelings for your food. Nobody can feel feelings for their food, and particularly do not name them cows. That's what I was told over and over and over and over. Do not name them cows. We have a name, you know. Why not? And then, but when they started going off into the sale barn, that's when, into the red trailer, that's when it all became very real to me. So, yeah, so what happened was, first time the red trailer went out of here, I mean, I was helping them at first, you know. I was trying to be, you know, I was trying to be a good rancher's wife, you know, do the right thing, you know, help out. I mean, Robert, your friend that just passed away, you know, I would go out there and I would ask him what he was doing and how I could help and all that. But then I started noticing that they would feed up these little babies into the red trailer to trap them. I was watching how they did that. They put this chain over it, and, you know, they would actually make it to where only the babies could get in. They put the food down there in the red trailer for the babies, and only the babies could go through underneath that chain. And whenever there was 6 or 7 of them trapped, took a couple days usually, you know, for them to get familiar enough with the idea of going in there, for them to all be trapped in there. And then the gate would slam shut, and the trailer would be off, and the mamas would be following that trailer. The babies would be trying to get out, and the trailer would go up the road. The mamas would turn with it all the way up that fence line and go all the way down as far as they could go, crying. And it broke me. That was when I was first broke. It was like something in me shattered. I was not prepared for the emotional backlash of that. It was like I was in an altered state when that happened. I just broke. You know, the cows were crying. I was crying, you know, and Tommy was telling me I needed to straighten up, you know, and I had to be strong, and this is the way it was, and, you know, this is the way it's always been done. And I was like, oh, you know, anyway, I can't even describe to you the way it made me feel. It was so horrible. So this happened every 6 or 7 months, you know, and so every time it would happen, it would get worse. My feelings about it grew stronger. I still wasn't vegan, but my feelings about what we were doing grew stronger. And that's when I started talking about the humane meat. Okay, let's try humane meat. Okay, and so yeah, and so I was thinking I was being so good. We got us a little local dairy guy, you know. We had our own milkman. He would bring us our milk from the local dairy up the road. Had Polly on it, had Mary on it, Betsy, you know, whatever cow the milk came from, the name of the cow was on top of the mason jar. And so I thought I was being so good. I knew the cow I was drinking the milk from. We'd get the butter, we'd get the cheese. We did everything like that. And then I told Tommy, I said, why do we sell our cows and buy our meat from Kroger? Why do we sell the cows but not eat them ourselves? Those of you that are recovering ranchers, why do you think? You can't eat somebody you know. And that was what Tommy said, you know. He said, I can't eat them. I know who they are, you know. And I was like, oh, really? Oh, so you can eat the ones from the store.
I said, I don't want to eat a cow I know.
That's it. And that's what he said. So
she goes, you're a hypocrite.
Yeah, he was a hypocrite. So I told him basically, then we're going to go ahead and butcher one of our own. I was manning up. He was like, what? You know, and I was like, no, if we're going to do this, we're going to slaughter one of our own animals. I know a guy that will get some people together, and they'll go in with us on it, and so that we'll get slaughtered here local, and they'll go in with us, and we'll, and we'll split the meat. Well, that never happened, but I pushed him to the point. I mean, he was sweating over this. It was like, which one's it going to be? And he was like, well, you know, I'm not going to eat any of it, but if I had to pick one, it would be broke leg. And broke leg is now lucky, but broke leg...
He got lucky twice. He escaped February 2014. The last time I sold calves, he got out and he hurt his back leg getting out of the back of the red trailer there. And so he was lucky then, and then he got lucky again.
Yeah, lucky again because he didn't get slaughtered. And you know, broke leg has never had a problem with that broke leg, whatever it was. It wasn't really a broke leg.
No, he still has a problem with his back right leg.
Well, I have a problem with my knee and my back, but you know you don't slaughter me because of it, right? I mean, you ain't going to slaughter.
Oh, he's doing okay.
He does just fine. He didn't need to be slaughtered because he had a, a bump
he's
leg.
He's a steer now. He's all right.
But it's so funny how we think, you know, like, yeah, let's pick that one because he's got a bad leg. You know, today I would think that's absolutely ludicrous, but back then, you know, that was Tommy's reasoning. And I used that not on purpose, but subconsciously as a way to drive my husband into a consciousness about what we were doing, because I was being very conscious. Even though I wasn't vegan, I was feeling it, you know. And so on October 31st, 2014 is the day I went vegan. And it happened as a result of the red trailer going out of here several times, and I couldn't bear it. It became worse and worse. And as a result, I started doing research. And when I started doing research, especially when I was looking into the humane meat, okay, I started doing my research. And then I started stumbling on all these slaughterhouse videos. And I didn't just stumble on them. I watched. For the first time ever, I started watching. Who spends their time watching slaughterhouse videos? Well, guess what? Yeah. I have spent, I don't know how many hours just absorbing myself in what takes place in the slaughterhouse industry. I had to. I watched as much. I mean, I saturated myself to the point to where Tommy thought I was going to go insane, and I did too, because I would cry and cry and cry, and I was so mad at everybody. I was mad at my mama. I was mad at the government. I was mad at news media. I was mad at, you know, everybody, the stores, for, you know, everybody. I was mad at everybody for teaching us that it was okay to eat animals. You know, how could they do that? And after, do they look at this? You know, this should be taught in schools. You know, why you let your kids go to school, eat cheese and drink milk, you know, and put a happy smile on their face like they're getting a Happy Meal, you know, and there ain't no happiness there. You know, there's no happiness in those Happy Meals, period. You know, we're just programmed. We believe lies when we eat it up. You know, we're programmed to believe lies and eat them up. And I started seeing that with my own eyes. And I became like you're seeing me right now. And I didn't like it. And so it took me a little bit. I didn't even know I was going to go vegan that day. I stumbled upon a documentary, or not a documentary, but a little bitty mini thing on carnism by Melanie Joy. And Melanie Joy is a PhD. If you don't know who she is, look her up. She has a great dissertation on carnism. And there was a family eating a big pot of beef stew. And they were loving the beef stew, loving it, eating it up. And when somebody says, well, what's the recipe? And the lady says, well, you start off with a pound of very young golden retriever. Well, everybody stopped eating right in mid-bite. Oh my God, they're eating a puppy. Really, I don't think I can eat a baby puppy. They put their fork down, and, you know, everybody's like sick. And then she says, just kidding, it's really a cow. And they're like, wow, they still couldn't eat. The memory and the idea, suddenly that was enough to jolt the consciousness from the idea that now they're eating a puppy. Well, guess what? They're eating a little baby calf too, you know? All the meat that people eat today, it's babies. We literally are a society that eats on babies. we eat babies. And if we are drinking milk, we are contributing to the veal industry. There's no two ways about it. You know, you have to know the truth. You have to know that if you're eating animals, most the animals that you're eating are babies. And if you're drinking milk and cheese, it's the veal industry. And I can tell you more about that if you want to know later. So I went vegan on that day because we went to his mother's house. We were having a big Halloween party there for all the kids. A lot of family was there, and she was serving beef stew that same day that I'd watched that video. And when I saw her come out with that pot of beef stew, I froze. And she tried to serve it to me, and I could not have any of it. She said, well, you know, don't you want some stew? And I'm like, no ma'am, I can't eat that. And I don't know who I was talking to. I don't know if I was talking to her or the air or myself. And she says, well, why not? And I said, because this was my answer. God struck me dead. This was my answer. Because it has floating, dead, hacked up animal parts in it. I called it out on the carpet.
My whole family was there, and they all... I had just retired. I was getting ready for a nice, relaxing time in my life, and I had no idea what was in store.
I didn't know I was going to say that. It came right out of my mouth. It's got floating, dead, hacked up animal parts. I said it twice because she asked me, what? And I was like, she says, well, Renee, you can pick it out. I was like, no, ma'am, there's no more picking it out for me. And that's when I knew, right then and there, that I'd crossed the line. Finally. Hi, is this Lily? This is Renee Solman with Rowdy Girl Sanctuary. I have a strange request. Right now we are going to rescue 2 turkeys that would have been slaughtered through the FFA system. We saw a flyer in a health food store a couple of days ago advertising these 2 turkeys for sale for $50 each. We grabbed the flyer, took it off the wall, left, and straight away called and talked to the lady to see if she would pardon these 2 turkeys. Hi.
Hey, how you doing?
It's so good to meet you. In Texas and in other parts of the country, FFA is a real valued, traditional, cultural experience for our youth. But of course, folks that really, really love animals and choose not to participate in any of the violence towards them at all, we are just elated that she said yes to us pardoning the last 2 that she has. You just don't know what to think of all this. So they just got out of the FFA.
Yeah, out of the fair, the Missouri County Fair.
So you had how many?
We had 20.
20.
I had 3 kids, so we had 9 in the show.
So have you ever had any that when they got ready to take them all the way, I've heard it called the Trail of Tears, when they go and they're...
I don't know. Anna's getting to keep her rabbit.
Really?
So her rabbit that made 11th out of 84, she's going to keep him. He'll live here forever. So.
Oh, that's so awesome.
We can compromise when we can, but these were bred for a certain purpose, and that's what, you know.
And you got it, and you get that.
Yeah, I have to have that mentality.
You have to have that mentality to do it, exactly.
Yeah, because otherwise I just don't.
You'd lose your mind.
I wouldn't do it. I would,
No.
I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't raise them if I,
No, but you are so awesome to be doing this with us.
Yeah.
Can I give you another hug? It was such an experience to see this woman open her heart and pardon those 2 turkeys. To see the other turkeys that were destined to be Thanksgiving dinner was really sad. You know, we really wanted all of them.
You can't save them all. There's probably 80 million turkeys that are going to be harvested in the next few weeks for Thanksgiving dinner this year.
These turkeys are so inquisitive, and they have personalities. You know, they love life. They want to live. Thanksgiving is a time when, you know, families all get together. Nieces, nephews, uncles, families, because they come from all over. You may not see these family members but that one time a year. And so it's really a celebration of love. This year, this Thanksgiving, these 2 turkeys are going to be celebrated so that instead of giving thanks for a turkey on our plate, we're going to be giving thanks for these turkeys, and we're going to be giving them a Thanksgiving dinner to remember. So everyone's, you know, going to want to know, I'm sure, what their names are going to be, because right now they have no name. And we have decided to give them the names of the 2 folks that are behind the camera right now. And we have Alana with Black Ant Films. And so we're going to call one of them Alana. So that's one name. And then the other one, we were going to call her Chiwe. He's the producer of Decleffer Music. But we decided, instead of calling him Chiwe, since that's a masculine term, we're going to call her Chi-Chi. So we got Chi-Chi and Alana. We want to welcome them to Rowdy Girl Sanctuary.